Hello and welcome to another Crystal Saturday. If you are new here, my name is Jenna and I have an online crystal shop called Pretty Crystals where I sell crystals for healing, happiness, harmony, and home decor. And this is another Crystal Saturday episode where we have a high vibe crystal chat. Today I am bringing you a little mini crystal haul because I feel like it just wouldn't be a good Crystal Saturday if I did not show you a few crystals. And then we are gonna get into our Q&A. So it's gonna be a good time. Get yourself a snack, a drink, get cozy, get comfy, and let's get into our video. So before we dive in, I do want to do our 17-second manifestation method together. I like to do this before every Crystal Saturday video so we can just get grounded and do some really powerful manifesting. I apologize for last weekend. It completely slipped my mind. I was in San Diego, I was crystal shopping, I was on a freaking mission, and I just did not even think to do it. So I'm so sorry, but we're back. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I will list my video below. I did a whole video on the 17-second method, and there are also hundreds of other YouTube videos on this method. But basically, you are just holding on to the feeling that your greatest desire will bring you for a full 17 seconds. You can hold on to the feeling or just the thought of it, and it propels you to that manifestation so incredibly intensely and amazingly and magically, beautifully, all the good things. I will be doing mine with my piece of smoky quartz here, and smoky quartz is just one of my favorite crystals for grounding and really feeling that like gentle yet strong, protective, kind of masculine energy. So I love smoky quartz for that. And I am going to start us off by 3 deep intentional breaths in and out the nose, and then I will go ahead and start the 17-second timer for us. So holding your crystal, I like to do the left hand because that is known as the receiving hand, and we're just going to take those 3 deep breaths. And hold on to that manifestation. I'm going to set our timer right now. And you're done. You are that much closer to your wildest manifestations coming true, and thank you for doing that with me. I really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Let me get a sippy sip of this drink first. I was on a LaCroix kick for so long, and I would drink like 4 LaCroix a day, and then I just like stopped. I didn't drink them anymore. And today I'm trying one with a nice lemon in it, and it is so good. Highly recommend. So the first piece I need to share with you is this piece of citrine. If you follow me on Instagram, you have probably seen this. She was in my live sale. I did a couple posts about her. I cannot even express how amazing this piece is. I found her when I was recently shopping down in Los Angeles, and there's this one wholesaler that I have shopped with a couple times, and I don't know how else to describe it. They're just so bougie, and they have really an incredible high-end, crazy high vibe selection, and this is one of the pieces I found there. She did actually sell, which is really exciting, but I have been spending a lot of like quality time with this piece. I don't do that with all of my pieces, but sometimes there will be certain special ones that like I do end up sitting with and just again, spending that quality time, which is really nice. And this piece has the most intense energy. When I hone in with her, like, I feel the most incredible, powerful energy. And that is the beauty of citrine. It just is known to be like the most magnificent uplifter of them all, known to manifest abundance, happiness, wealth, all of that. Really, really powerful, and so many rainbows in there too. I love her. Next up, I want to show you a piece of apophyllite that I picked up again when I was in Southern California recently. There was another place I went to that had a lot of incredible apophyllite, and this is one of them. So she does have like a little cave in there too, which I think is so cool, and I'm a sucker for crystals that just like sit up nicely, and this is one of them. And on the back too, you're gonna see this like baby blue lace agate situation going on, and she's just such a stunner. I wanted to throw a quartz in here because clear quartz is just one of those staple pieces, and I have this beautiful Himalayan quartz piece that is really versatile because you can display it laying down, or you could put it on a stand and have it sitting up for just a really, really nice, beautiful display piece. This is actually specifically a Himalayan quartz piece, and they are said to have like very, very special high vibe properties, so pretty cool, and this piece is just so unique and special. I love it. All right, we've got a smoky cluster. This one is just so shimmering and glam, and you know I love those like sparkly, just gorgeous pieces, and this is one of them. She just has this beautiful like gray, peaceful, calming color, and like I said in the beginning, a smoky quartz is my personal favorite for grounding and just kind of getting that masculine energy. It's always good to work on that beautiful balance between your masculine and your feminine energies, and I tend to lean towards the feminine side of things, so smoky quartz I feel like kind of balances me out in a really nice way and keeps me grounded, of course. I have a gorgeous piece of celestite to share with you. This is a good one. A lot of times celestite will be very crumbly. It is definitely one of those crystals you do not want to put in water. I try to find celestite that is really like hardy and intact, and this is one of those pieces. So just a little side note of why I love this specific piece. But again, just a beautiful piece of celestite. Angel connections, soothing, calming, ethereal, all of my favorite things, and a beautiful piece to have by your bedside, I would say. Okay, let's get into our Q&A. I may have been very washed out in the whole first part of that video. I had my brightness on probably a little too high, so I'm sorry about that, but we should be good to go now. I'm going to open my Instagram up. I asked on Instagram if you had any questions for me, even if they were related to starting up your own crystal business. I get so many questions about this on Instagram, and I know a lot of people are curious. My camera just shut off, but I had like the weirdest deja vu moment right now, and I feel like that's a really good sign. That means I'm in the right place at the right time, so cool. Okay, I'm actually working on my very first course right now, which is going to be all about how you can start your own crystal business. I have learned a lot in my first year with Pretty Crystals, and I just want to pass on that knowledge and help you live out your dream like I am living mine, if that is something you're interested in. So I open the floor essentially for questions like that, and then it helps me too because I know what people want to know and what they're curious about, and then I can make sure I include that in the course as well. So let's get into our questions. I didn't look at anything yet. When are we gonna see your crystal water and booch in stores? That is a wonderful question. Thank you, Justin. And you are the one who gave me, or it's not even that you gave me the idea, you just said basic booch, which I think is the funniest thing ever for a kombucha name, although I did look it up and I think someone already has it. But the basic booch would be a fantastic situation, especially if it was like crystal infused kombucha. Does anyone do crystal infused kombucha? Because I feel like that is $1 million idea. Okay, next question is where and how to start. I think the very first step obviously is committing to the fact that this is something you want to do or try out, to really make sure that it's coming from your heart and that you have a very soul-centered reason for wanting to start the business. So if that's done and you know you want to start, I would say the very first step is coming up with a name. That is going to be so important. I think it's one of those first things that grabs people's attention and really lets them know what you're all about. My whole thing when I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do, and I think I probably heard this on a podcast somewhere for people who are like unsure about their purpose, was to really get clear about what you're good at and what you enjoy. And I would always tell myself, like, I really enjoy making things look pretty. Like, I just love the aesthetics of things. I'm a very visual, creative person. I always have been. So for me, in my head, I remember I would always just think like, I like making things pretty. I like making things pretty. I like pretty things. I like, you know, and pretty was always at the center of that. So when I came up with the name, it was actually really easy for me to do because it was already kind of like swirling around in my head. When usually I'm the most indecisive person, and picking a name, which again to me I feel like is one of the most important things, it would have been like so difficult for me to do. So it kind of came really naturally because I got clear about my vision, I guess. So yeah, first steps, create your name and then create your Instagram with that name, and hopefully you don't run into any problems with the name being taken. And then I also suggest purchasing a website domain if selling on a actual website is something you're gonna want to do versus selling on only Instagram or Etsy or something. Etsy just never ever resonated with me, but I do recommend getting the domain name of your crystal shop name. Next question, how do you find your wholesalers? This is another question I get asked a lot. I think first of all, just getting really spiritual here, the first thing you have to do is kind of set your energy and intention to know that the right people, the right customers, the right wholesalers are going to find you. So always like have that intention set in the back of your head. It might sound really woo-woo or spiritual, but if you're watching me, you probably can relate to that. So just know that the right ones are out there to serve you and sell you the perfect crystals. And that is the first step. Secondly, Google and Instagram are gonna be your best friends when it comes to anything, including this, and that is where I found my wholesalers. Of course, searching on Google, crystal wholesalers, depending on where you are, but there's probably one near you, I guess. I live in California, so I'm very spoiled when it comes to that. But yeah, if there's not one near you, there are wholesalers online. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you started the crystal biz? That's a great question. I wish I knew that everything was going to be okay. Obviously, I'm only a year into my business and the future's never certain. Who knows what the future holds, but I am so much more content and successful and proud in the first year of business than I think I may have anticipated for myself. So I wish I could go back and just tell myself, like, this is going to be good and you're gonna be okay. Even though I knew that deep in my soul, if I could just give myself a little reassurance. And I try to do that often because I think we always look back and we're like, damn, I wish I knew that I was gonna be okay. What crystal would you recommend for each of the 7 chakras? I love that question, and I'm gonna try to go rapid fire. So crown chakra, I would do a spirit quartz. Third eye chakra, I would do amethyst. Throat chakra, blue kyanite. Heart chakra, rhodonite is the first one that comes to mind. Solar plexus, citrine. Sacral chakra, that's a hard one because it's like one of my hardest chakras to work with. Let's just go with pyrite for that one. I think that would be really good. And then root chakra, smoky quartz, of course. So yeah, you are wonderful. Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet and I really appreciate it. And I think you're so wonderful too. Okay, did you start Pretty Crystals selling to friends? Curious to know your journey in the business. I did not start selling pretty crystals to friends. I really just started selling on my separate Pretty Crystals Instagram, and it all happened really, really quickly. I think I kind of mulled the idea of a crystal shop over in my head, and I was doing a lot of meditating at that point. I was really in my spiritual zone, and I just kind of like trusted that guidance and went to LA and bought a bunch of crystals and started selling. That's kind of how I feel like it played out when I look back on it. There was probably more that went on, but yeah, it all happened really quickly. The biggest thing I attribute that to is just the fact that I was so down to just live out my soul's purpose, as like cliche as that might sound. Pretty Crystals is when I really was like, okay, I'm ready to live out my soul's purpose, and I'm doing it, and I'm ready. And I think like when you're ready and you tell the universe you're ready, like shit happens really, really quickly, you know? So that's kind of how it all started. Do you still work a 9-to-5? If you don't, when did you feel comfy making the leap to Pretty Crystals full time? So this is a tricky question for me because I have never been a 9-to-5er, and I know for a lot of people who want to start their own business or their online shop, that's like the biggest kind of hurdle, if you will, is leaving that 9-to-5 and figuring out how you're going to be able to support yourself with your online business. After high school, I bounced around to a few different colleges. Simply, I could not commit myself to school, and I was lucky enough that my first, I believe, 2 years of college, I did not have to have a separate job. After a couple years of, I guess, regular college, if you will, I ended up going to a makeup school in New York City called Makeup Designery. I did that, and then I became a full-time professional makeup artist for close to 8 years. So that was kind of my life for a really long time. And I ended up going back to even more colleges, like I think 3 more, and finishing my bachelor's degree. And also I was serving and bartending in my earlier days as a makeup artist. So as a makeup artist, I mostly worked for myself, but sometimes I would work for other salons as an independent contractor. I was always working for myself, and again, never got into the corporate world, never had a 9-to-5, and it's just not something I have ever wanted to do. The thought of doing that just like is so much more paralyzing to me than, you know, being an entrepreneur, where many times you're waking up wondering how the fuck you're gonna make any money. Trust me, there have been times where I feel, I guess jealousy is the best word to describe it, of people who do have the, you know, comfort, if you will, of a 9-to-5, or the extra free time, because being an entrepreneur is so scary and it has its own set of obstacles. Again, if I had the 2 choices, I've always chosen working for myself, making that work. So when did I feel comfy making the leap to Pretty Crystals? I guess it was a little more of a seamless transition from being a full-time makeup artist to starting my online business, but it was also really scary because I think my family just didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and they didn't understand why I would leave makeup when it was something that, you know, I could make money at and I was good at it and I'd been doing it for so long. And for me to just kind of like close that door, I think a lot of people who were close to me didn't understand, and that made it difficult because I didn't even know how the fuck I was gonna make an online crystal business work. But I just knew I needed to. I knew I wanted to. I knew my soul was calling me to do this. So I don't want to speak for people who have a 9-to-5 and go to that. I know that's so common, but it just wasn't my journey. Of course, I think that, you know, we can always figure it out. If we know we want to do something, we just got to do it and we'll figure it out. What's the worst that could happen? I actually watched a video recently. This guy was being interviewed, and I believe he goes by the name the Zen Millionaire. And it was a really interesting thing he said, that so many people are afraid of, you know, the unknown. a lot of it comes down to finances, of course, because we think like, God, like what if we lose it all? Like what if I risk it all? And he said, most of us have, you know, 10, I think he said 10 friends, which I honestly like don't really even have 10 friends, but most of us have a handful of friends. Like let's say you did lose it all and your bank account went to 0. Do you have 5 or 10 people in your life that you could call and ask to sleep on their couch? For most of us, probably. So if you could stay at these people's places for a couple weeks at a time, you would then have X amount of time to get back on your feet, and chances are you would, because honestly, typically when we're at our deepest, darkest moments are when we, you know, climb out the hardest and the fastest, and it gives us that grit. That was kind of his whole philosophy. Just picture the worst possible thing that could happen, and once you do that and you realize it's actually okay and you're gonna be fine, then you can go about life a little more fearlessly. What did you do work-wise before starting Pretty Crystals? How did you manage starting Pretty Crystals? I feel like I answered a lot of that in the last question, but yeah, I was a makeup artist for many, many years and serving and bartending, and I was just very, very unhappy. I was abusing alcohol and occasionally drugs, and just in a really, really uncomfortable place within myself, in a lot of abusive relationships, and it just was not a good chunk of my life, but that's what I did work-wise. Do you purchase some of your pieces online to sell? I do, but it's been very important to me from the beginning to kind of feel out the crystals for myself. I'm a bit of a control freak when it comes to it. I don't know like how else to describe it, but I want to see the crystals. I want to touch the crystals. Like I want to choose the crystals to bring to you guys. I do 80 to 90% of my crystal shopping in person, and then of course here and there I will buy online. I do tend to sell bigger pieces that like I need to physically touch it. Otherwise I'm like, no, I don't trust other people to do it for me, which I don't know, maybe that's something I have to work on within myself, but it's important to me to touch them myself. What is the biggest crystal you've ever sold? So that's a great question. I have not sold my amethyst cathedrals yet. So when those do sell, they will be the biggest. Crystals, size-wise, I mean, I've sold some pretty big chunkers. I sold a clear quartz cluster that was probably like this big. Can you tell how big that is? Not too long ago. So I would say like a big, hefty medium size is the biggest piece I've sold. Biggest order that I've had so far, I will not forget, because that was like so magical and crazy. But someone in another country ordered close to $5,000 worth of crystals from me, kind of like on a whim, and that was really amazing, and I don't think I'll ever forget that moment. So yeah, you don't forget your biggest, right? How do you engage your audience beyond your crystal knowledge? I think I try to do things on social media that I would find engaging, you know? So like my travel vlogs, doing my crystal hauls and my stories and stuff like that. Like I try to create what I love and find engaging, and I'm kind of I wouldn't say a tough person to please, but I mean, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I just try to make things fun and exciting and things that like I would love to watch and be engaged in. I do my best. I hope I am engaging you guys. What advice would you give someone wanting to start their own crystal business? Similar to the first couple questions, it's 222 on my phone, by the way, but of course, my biggest advice is always going to be to follow your heart. Trust that intuition. You feel like it is written in the stars, like I did, then you have to trust that. Like screw what anyone else thinks. This is about you and your journey and your purpose, your path. We do tend to get so bogged down by other people's opinions. I know it's something that's really hard for me just on social media, being scared of judgment and what other people think, to be honest. But when it came to Pretty Crystals, I really, really knew that this was like something I was meant to do. And I don't know if I've ever felt that about anything else before in that way. So follow your heart, and the universe will reward you in really cool ways. So that's that. All right, I think that does it for today's video. Thank you to everyone who submitted a question for me. I'm so honored and just really grateful that you take the time to either be on my Instagram and of course watch my videos here on YouTube. It means the world. Tomorrow I will be doing my Sunday live sale on pretty crystals at 5 o'clock PST. Hope you can join me there. If you're not already following me on Instagram, my personal page is at Jenna Ellis and my crystal page is at Pretty Crystals. This Monday I am actually heading to Santa Barbara to do some crystal shopping, and of course I will be vlogging it, so that will be a fun vlog for next week. If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Let me know what you would like to see from me. Leave me a comment, that would be amazing. And without further ado, I will cheers to you wherever you are on this life journey. We're in it together. I love you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.